Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, everybody? What's up, Theresa Cox?
What is up? Me.
There we go.
I'm up. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We all know I hit my brick wall between 2 and 3. But look how much energy I have today.
Right, very energetic. I do recommend napping. Afternoon napping is always good.
I don't have time on a Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, Wednesdays are very busy. We have a lot of meetings. We do. Well, obviously, there's, as you all know, the Snoop Dogg show, 12 Pacific on Wednesdays. Today's episode was John Hughes movies and soundtracks. It was very, very, very fun. But welcome to the show, everybody. Catherine Totally Thrifty's here in the house. Jill's here. What's up, Jill? Nice to see you. Jill wants a nap as well. Susie Eade is attending all the lives today, very active in the Snoop Dogg show earlier, the John Hughes episode, which was very, very touching, Theresa, I would say.
I'm sure. I was going to attend, but I got stuck on a call.
That's okay. It happens.
But I do know John Hughes, and I do know John Hughes movies. So
interesting.
That's abnormal for me in your topics.
You never know. There could be a sequel. And so I have to apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for us being late because I was on a call with Resellers, an old friend of mine who's new to selling. I've known her 25 years, and then she has a friend that is her best friend and mentor who's very active on Poshmark and wants to expand. And my friend's son just got banned from Depop. So,
wait, your son's friend? No, your friend's son.
My friend's son just got banned from Depop, and she's like, I don't know, And I was like, well, why did he get banned from Depop? Well, he was selling some knockoff designers. Oh, I see. But they may hop in. So, but awesome. You got to be careful with the knockoffs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no, you don't have to be careful. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
I am going to be on a call with my former business manager when I was in the School of Music at ASU. Diana wants to get some stuff. We always had this dream. We had this promise that if either one of us won the lottery, we were going to move to some tropical location, and we were going to open a store, and I was going to do eBay, and she's an artist, so she was going to paint. And so we have this pinky promise that if that ever happens, so she wants to now start doing some selling. So I have that call with her tomorrow. So it must be old home week for us.
Yeah, that is cool. All right. Very nice. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, and so, of course, welcome to Reseller Tips Live. That's Theresa Cox, 20-something year eBay seller. List Perfectly's first user, top advisor. She needs a top hat and a cigar. Oh, there we go. And she's expanded to multiple platforms. The queen of the seller community. 6-something figure seller. What is that?
So we were just talking, and I almost jumped in, but you'd moved on. So my license plate says eBay girl. I'm going to interrupt you because I just got this text. Yesterday, after an appointment, I stopped at Sam's to pick up my order.
Okay.
And the young man that was putting the groceries in the car for me said, eBay girl, do you sell on eBay? And I said, yeah. He says, will you teach me? I said, yeah.
Nice.
And Marcus just texted me.
See, Marcus wants to be his own boss and learn from.
And that's exactly what I told him.
Yeah.
I said, you shouldn't be putting groceries in a car at 110 degrees heat in Arizona. So.
And he said, why do you think I'm not putting groceries in my car? So good for Marcus. Good for Marcus. But and then I'm Doug, 1 to 3 figure reseller. But I have resold. I do resell, and we're here and List Perfectly Reseller Tips. And Theresa's multitasking. She's texting Marcus back.
You are so good, because I'm going to tell Marcus, I'm in the middle of a live show on Reseller Tips. You should come watch us on YouTube.
There you go. And we are going to talk. So here today we're talking about branding and marketing for online resellers and List Perfectly users. So very participatory participation based. Please share your tips and tricks. I am exhausted from my meeting with sellers, telling them about List Perfectly, but I
Poor,
will do my best to recover.
poor Doug has to talk to 2 people. He's wiped out for the rest of the
That's
day.
right. That's right. This is true. I told my kid yesterday, you either work for the man or you are the man. That sounds like something Big Daddy would say. Melissa's here. We live in SoCal. We love it. Melissa W.
Does she live near you?
Nearish. I think she's down in Oceanside. I saw on
Near.
Facebook. Yeah, and that's what my old hood actually. So there we go. And yeah. All right. So we're here to talk about branding and marketing for resellers. So any tips and tricks, anything you want to add, hop in, any questions, and let's get rolling. Let's start. All right, let's start with, and I want to hear from Club Red 97 herself. Let's start with, why is branding important? Theresa Cox.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Well, actually, you say that though, but you have a pretty consistent brand. I mean, you Club Red 97.
Right. And I mean, everybody on this call knows that red is my thing. Red is my color. I'm wearing my List Perfectly shirt. But it's interesting because I don't even back in the beginning days of eBay, your email address was your user ID.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was working for USC, and I was selling some of their dead computer stuff on eBay. I mean, I just started this job, and this is kind of like what I was doing for fun. And then I started wanting to sell my own stuff, but I didn't want the people from work to see what I was selling. Not that I was selling, I just didn't need to know if they were selling my clothes or my books or whatever. So I opened up a different account, and that was my email address. And then they changed it to handles or whatever. And I don't even remember. It had something to do with jazzed. I have no idea when or where or how. I'm not a jazzy person. I don't like jazz music and that. And then somehow or other, when I bought my house in Arizona, it was in the backyard. I had a bunch of people over there, and my swimming pool had just been built and whatever. And somebody said, "Oh, I feel like I'm in Club Med." And they're like, "Oh, but this is Club Red." And it stuck. So then I decided to use that as my eBay store, because I started out selling red things. So an accidental branding, because when I was selling red things, I think I was to be jazzed. I think that's what my handle was. When I was selling red things, I wasn't thinking about, I just wanted a handle that nobody at work would find.
So, and I guess I don't know this. So have you always been into red, or is that what started it?
Yes.
Okay. So Theresa's very.
If my sister were alive, she would tell you that when I was in first grade and she was in second grade, my grandmother would make us clothes, and my grandmother we had dresses with turtles on it. No.
Okay.
And I had the blue dress and she had the red dress. And still to this day, when I see those pictures, I'm bitter.
You wanted that dress.
My sister and my grandmother are both dead, and I'm still bitter.
But no, but yeah, so Theresa chose Club Red 97, stands out from the crowd. And that's her eBay selling name. She loves red. She had a club that was red. She's been selling on eBay since 97.
95, but under this handle since 97. But Club Red was taken, so I had to add the 97 on. Now people just think that's the year I was born, which is okay with me.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right with them. And it's, basically this is what Catherine is saying, makes you stand out in the crowd. So branding's important because it gives you an identity. It makes it so people can find you. What's interesting is I didn't know I was going to share this, but so my brand is kind of Snoop Doggy, but I'm actually thinking of rebranding. So I know it's a shock. My wife says not to do it. My son says not to do it, but I wanted to be more professional. So my selling name is DAS Content, DAS Content. And that's also been my side gig name forever. That's my website, my hub, that's my YouTube channel. So I was going to rebrand to DAS Content, but I don't know, more and more people are like, keep Snoop Doggy. What do you think, Theresa?
Keep Snoop Doggy.
Keep Snoop Doggy.
There is nothing that you need to be more professional or anything about in the reselling world. It's not going to give you any more credibility. Nobody's going to say, oh, look at this book on Snoop Doggie's store and desk content. I'm going to buy from here. Nobody cares.
So here's the question though. But I've I've rebranded all my online stores to DAS content. Should I go back to Snoop Doggy?
Well, you have to wait 30 days to change your eBay store.
Yeah, well, that's easy.
Probably. Or just create another account. Go back to Snoop Doggy on all your existing stuff and create a new account on eBay for DAS content.
But do I need the DAS content then for selling?
Well, here's my thought. You may disagree. If you start that DAS content today and you don't use it, you still will have history of it starting in 2024. If you do this for 3 years and you decide you don't want to be Snoop Doggy anymore because you want to go underground, then that store already has some history, and people will see that it started 3 years ago and not yesterday.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is everybody does know me as Snoop Doggy. So,
but when you want to go on the lam and go undercover, that's not going to be good.
That's true. I will stick out.
You always have to have a backup plan. I have a backup plan. I have like 2 or 3 different eBay stores that nobody knows about.
Interesting.
Never.
And as you know, there's only one Snoop Doggy.
This is true.
But we gotta. So Will the Redeal, what's up? Thanks for joining. The AI listing tool is pretty decent so far. Yeah, I just did a demo of it right before the call. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I experimented with the very funny tone, and it was pretty clever for a golf shirt. So
it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
All right. Well, thanks for the advice. I guess I should take the advice I'm trying to give today with Theresa.
So interesting about branding, because I sort of just fell into Club Red. I do sell red things, but it's not my main gig. But some of these people on here will know that I am wanting to sell socks. Okay. I wanted to sell socks for a long time. So I'm branching out to that. I am working on that. It will have a brand. It will be a branded thing. I don't know what to say about it, but I decided not to create a new eBay account for that brand.
Okay.
But I will probably do it on other platforms.
Interesting.
And the biggest reason is because I have an anchor store on eBay and I get 10,000 listings and I'm only using 6. So why would I go and spend more money to get another 1,000?
Yeah, I see that. I can see that. All right.
But so, branding is important. I think it's good. Maybe Club Red will drive traffic to whatever I decide to call this sock company. Probably not on eBay, because I think people just search, but maybe, talking to the List Perfectly seller community has really helped me kind of wrap my brain around this. Because maybe the reason I like selling socks is because I sell a lot of socks and people love their socks. Who knew? And so maybe repeat buyers get a pair of socks, like the way they feel, want to buy another one.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe later I might branch off, but I don't know.
But yeah, and part of all that is the logo and visual identity. So you want people to be like to be able to associate you with your logo. Like, let's take a look at Totally Thrifty here. She's got that cool bag logo. We associate that with her. Great logo. Theresa has her Club Red 97. I guess so. I do have DAS content logos. I guess I do need a Snoop Doggy logo. I've got the one that's my face where I'm like,
oh yeah,
there you go. See,
there you go.
Uh-oh. Stop the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is a first. There is a quilt question for Theresa Cox.
I can answer quilt questions, even if I only learned through osmosis in the 40-something years I was around my mother's quilt shop. Well, and 20 years for the quilt shop. But what's that?
And this is the beauty of List Perfectly and what we do, and because we're live multiple times a week in different mediums, you have us. So I would say, Julianne, unless it's a private quilt question, which is a possibility, please, you can ask your quilt question now. I mean, not this second, but during this live.
This is reseller tips, so maybe I'll give you a tip on a quilt question. So interesting thing about branding. So I started off saying I don't care, but apparently I really do, because I also decided to do, my mom was a master quilter for 60 plus years. And when she passed away, I inherited all of her quilts and her quilting fabric and all of her stuff. And so I am going to be selling some of it off, not her quilts, but her supplies. And I did create an Etsy account for the selling of her quilting stuff.
That's cool.
Because that was, again, on advice from other community members, that if my Etsy account is just everything that's vintage and crap, and I do have some quilting and fabric and stuff like that there, but for repeat buyers, quilters are a different breed. Quilted fabric is a higher quality. So if they get some fabric from me and it's higher quality, they are going to want to be able to come back and shop again. That was, somebody told me that's important on Etsy. So I quickly opened it up. I think I'm going to use the same name as her quilt shop was in Torrance, California.
Oh, that's cute.
But yeah, so I guess without even thinking about it, we think about it.
And, you know, part of your brand too is red, your love of red, you know?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. But when I started off that I don't think it's important, but maybe I obviously do, because I'm already thinking about a sock one and I'm already thinking about a quilting one. So
multiple. Yeah.
There you go, people. And I'm not one that likes to complicate things, but I think that for repeat customers, for the socks and the quilt, that might be important. I could be wrong.
Well, and it's interesting too, because with something like, I think if you're a niche seller or the type of things that you sell in, that can be part of your brand, that can be part of your logo, that can be part of your identity. You know, obviously I like music, but I actually don't sell a ton of music. I've sold some collectible music stuff, but I sell stuff that's in my garage. So I would say I probably sell more books than music.
That surprises me that you don't sell more music.
I know, huh? Someone left me a not completed quilt. It is stuffed triangles. Does it have a name? It's a good question.
Good question. So, Julie, if you are in the List Perfectly Facebook group, you can find me on Facebook, and then you can ask the question in the group and post a picture, because off the top of my head, I don't know what it would be, but maybe if I saw the quilt, it would ring a bell. Stuffed triangles doesn't ring a bell to me.
That's true.
Oh, look at you, are so quick, Doug. I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Doug at the board, ladies and gentlemen.
That is that's the List Perfectly group. You can ask your questions in there. Not only List Perfectly questions, marketplaces, online selling, John Hughes movies, quilting questions, whatever is your forte. What's up? Whoops, missed. What's up, Marie Bartron? Haven't seen you in a bit. Nice to see you again. Thanks.
Oh, there you go.
I should get into. I've sold some music stuff. My biggest sale was a set of Depeche Mode live CDs, not bootlegs. They were actually sanctioned by the band, and they were sold on the tour. So, and I won a bunch of them from the Depeche Mode website. And that was my biggest sale to date. I think that was a $200 sale for several of these. And it was very interesting because the guy was based in Poland, and he had me ship them to a US post office from there. And I was super freaked out that it was a scam, but I was embarrassed to talk to Theresa Cox. So,
but it all went well, didn't it?
It all went well.
Freight forwarding is a thing for international buyers.
Hey, Kathy Cox, how are you?
Oh, Kathy's here. I haven't seen her on today. Okay.
You know what, Catherine? That's interesting. You should say that because I do have some. I have sold some U2 live stuff, and I do have some U2 CD singles that maybe I will list. There you go.
You got kids in college, dude. Got to pay those bills.
Almost, yeah, almost, yeah. That's the thing. Is like, where do you want to go? I don't know. Maybe Virginia, maybe up the road, maybe USC. Who knows?
Go Trojans.
There you go. That is true. All right. So we talked about logo and visual identity, brand voice and messaging. And I think, yeah, part of branding is consistency. You want to be consistent. You don't want to be like me and switch back and forth. But I think you guys have convinced me. I think I'm gonna stick with Snoop Doggy.
Approved.
Because I can't even my wife was like, you should probably stick with that. People know you as that. I was like, but it's not. You told me it wasn't professional years ago. She's like, maybe you should stick with that.
I love it.
Oh, look at this. See, this is the beauty of community. One Girl's Vintiques. I love quilting, and the answer to the quilt question is it's called a puff quilt or a biscuit quilt.
Okay, and that I can see, Carla. I think that the triangles threw me off. I don't think I've seen a triangle puff quilt, but I mean, if it has stuffing in it, it's a puff quilt, right?
I would call it a triangle quilt. So, you know, and I think it's interesting too. So obviously part of what you want to build up is you want to build up a reputation. You want to build up trust and credibility. Like people know, you know, we're going to convince Theresa by the end of the call that she's an expert in branding and marketing, but people know Club Red 97.
Not an expert.
Forever.
But my point is, I think we all think about it, even if we don't think we think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, building up a reputation ties with a bunch of things. It's like, yeah, have good customer service. Don't break the rules. Don't get in trouble. Things like that.
You have to be credible.
Be credible.
You have to be trust. You know, you think about these people, these YouTube influencers or whatever that have a following, and if you're going to, you know, they have to trust you if you're going to talk to them. You know, maybe people trust Doug, maybe people trust me, but we kind of balance each other out, hopefully for the crowd.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff together. Speaking of YouTube influencers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share one of my favorite videos on our new tool listing assistant. If you could go watch it.
Oh, stop. I was trying to think of what we're doing internally, and I just realized it. Hey, I'm going to go viral, people.
So this is Theresa's video on the listing assistant tool. Very good overview.
Here's the thing. I am not a content creator and I don't do YouTube videos, but I really wanted to do something quick and easy. It will create so that I could show people, although it can use up to 6. So in the List Perfectly Pro version, you need to have opted into the Pro Plus plan.
I like how our little talking head is down in the corner
Express
too.
Lister. There is a bunch of stuff here that you can customize. You can click on the customization button in the upper right
link
corner.
is there. Let's help
These
Theresa
are all the fields that you can move around or choose to use. I have moved my SKU and my pricing to the top of the page.
One of my faves. So, you know, and part of that reputation is going to be your customer reviews. It's going to be testimonials, things like that. So, your feedback across the board, whatever you have, but you want to maintain a good reputation. I'm always a proponent of good customer service. Don't get into it with you. I have some good seller friends who love to get into it with their buyers. It's like, I don't. I mean, I've done stuff where it's just like, just keep it or send it back, or sorry, it wasn't what you wanted, you know, things like that. I try not to get into any arguments. And one of the classics that I use from years of community management and customer support is I call it play dumb. I'll just be like, okay, hey, all right, no problem. Whatever you need. So, but there you go. Customer service equals account hearth. That's cute. Hearth or health. I think both apply.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I mean, And if you start, it's hard when you're first starting out. You feel like the little guy. You feel like people are taking advantage of you. You're trying to, get ahead and do all this stuff. But I mean, there's nothing. You just can't get around having good customer service.
Exactly. I apologize, Kathy. The link is there. You guys can watch it afterwards. If you want me to comment, though, I will. Give you a running commentary of the video. Yes, customer service equals account health. So that's important. And then also, understand who your customer is, especially if you're in like a niche. It's like if you're a quilt seller and Teresa's at quilts and socks and things like that. It's like you gotta like you had said, is like, what's the sock buyer into? Are you gonna get a loyal sock person? I have some cool socks. I don't like though when you get the hole in the toe when it's a cool sock, because I've got I have Jaws is my favorite movie. I do have a pair of Jaws socks that I wear too much.
I didn't know. Why am I getting feedback?
At some point, I'm gonna have to get the toe darned.
Darn toe.
That's right. That's right. So it's interesting. Yeah, Teresa's clock.
Well, I wouldn't get rid of that clock anyway. So, but yes, I do forget when we're on StreamYard, it does pick up the sound, but not on anything else. Understanding your target market, your target audience, I should say. So that's essential for branding and marketing. Why?
Yeah. Well, I think it ties into a lot of things. So if it's like, let's say you're selling music, you got to have a good understanding of music.
Okay.
You got to be able to answer those questions. Part of the reason I don't sell music is because it's kind of like selling Star Wars. You got to know your stuff.
Oh.
That's the thing is, and I could definitely sell some music stuff, but I don't want to go too deep into what would you say, the nuances of like the different if it's Duran Duran, I can talk about the different versions of Rio. I can do that. But
probably like some of the Swifties could tell you what all the 7 different vinyl colors were for every album, or this really, like all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not there on any subject.
But the other thing though is I think this ties into knowing your audience on different platforms as well, like knowing your eBay audience, because they'll be looking for different stuff. They'll pay different things. I think that ties in as well.
I like that angle of it. Yep. Because different platforms are going to be, again, I don't feel like I need to have a quilting store on eBay, but Etsy sellers have convinced me that it's essential on Etsy.
So, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, this is, when I had that conversation earlier with my friend and her friend, is like, there's a ton of platforms. There's only so much time to do so much stuff. And the one girl, Rachel, had just come off a 5-hour Poshmark Live. Yeah, it's interesting. And then my other friend, Marceline, was telling me that there are people on Poshmark Lives that just do stuff. They're not selling. They just do stuff and hang out. So
like a TikTok person live?
Yes. And I haven't seen anything like that, but they're just hanging out and not selling stuff. So I think that's very interesting.
Interesting.
This is an interesting insight. Etsy buyers shop by store, where eBay buyers shop by search. Ooh, that's a good one.
That is worth quoting. Let me take a screenshot of this so we can maybe use it in a future event, because I think that's awesome.
That's a good one. That's one of my favorite quotes in a while.
Worthy of Doug's special effects.
Special effects. What sound? What sound? What sound? Yeah, Julianne says 5 hours is a marathon. Yeah, she did that and then got to get the joy of hopping on a call with me. But I don't know that I could do 5. I love being live. I don't mind it, but I don't know that I could do 5 hours. I would get very thirsty.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So then, I guess we're talking about the marketing strategies, knowing the importance of your audience, your ideal customer,
You know,
researching demographics. I don't think we really have to do any researching of demographics. Maybe if you have a Shopify store.
well, the other thing, you could do some of that in, oh, then I will have to answer this question from Melissa, but I don't want to stop the whole show yet. Um, I mean, you could do that research in, like the various tools you have, even your eBay tools, is seeing, who's your typical buyer? What's the kind of person that's going to buy your stuff? Is it like let's say you're selling music? Is it an older demographic? Is it a younger demographic? And in terms of something like music, that's going to affect the kind of stuff you want to list, which is a segue to Melissa W from Oceanside. Her question: was I ever an Erasure fan? Yes, I was a very big Erasure fan. I still am. I mean, I went through a big electronic phase, I would say. And I can tie many things back to Duran Duran, the Smiths, or Morrissey. My first concert, July 1987 at the San Diego Sports Arena, July 20th something. Duran Duran, Erasure opened up. That was my, besides radio stuff, first exposure to Erasure. Yes, I do like Erasure. And then obviously it ties back to Depeche Mode, because Vince Clarke from Erasure was a founding member of Depeche Mode.
Yeah, but you don't know anything about music.
No, that's true. That's true.
See?
Yeah. And I did a music related Snoop Doggy show today. But thank you for asking, Melissa. Hopefully you're an Erasure fan as well. Or are you an Erasure fan? And so this brings into mind too. So from research, I think, and researching your demographics, all that, seeing what to sell. And this ties into content marketing. If you want to go that route, you can be like Theresa Cox and do video content. Theresa Cox says that she's not a content developer, but all the videos she does are super cool.
Yeah, I've done like 3 in 4 years. I am not a content creator.
But in
3
terms of,
videos in 4 years doesn't make one a content creator.
but in terms of online sellers that are content creators, there's different types too. There's a lot of sellers that do educational content. They will do stuff like sourcing content, help content, things like that.
So, I mean, I guess the content marketing would be if you're like, wanting to build up that brand and you're wanting to get the brand out there. And yeah, I mean, if I really decide to go deep into socks, then maybe I will start doing some content video about all the stuff I can learn about socks and why these socks are going to be great for your feet or whatever it might be.
Interesting. You never know. And keep in mind too, and this is something I have done on the Snoop Doggy show. I did do an episode about content, not just about bizarre, as Theresa Cox put it on a recent live, pop culture stuff.
I am not a pop culture person. I think you should do a repeat of that.
I should. But keep in mind, there's different types of content. If you're doing social media content, doing posts, Theresa does a lot of social media posts. That's content too. And then obviously there's podcasting and blogging and all that. And ladies and gentlemen, Jill is on fire today because this is so true. Theresa Cox, you created the Lost brand, which is a ton of content, a ton of recognition. So
okay, so this is what you're right, Jill, and thank you for reminding me, because what a dumb thing to miss. But this reminds me of, I spent 30 years in higher ed talking about finance. That was my job. But I learned when I'm talking to a music professor or a computer professor, I couldn't ask them for their budget, because anytime you use any kind of budget or finance related word, they didn't know what they were doing. But if I would say to them, hey, give me a list of what you think you will buy this year, no problem. So Jill just made me realize that I have that same affinity against anything marketing. And I've never liked marketing. I've never liked having to have a marketing budget. I've never liked paying for marketing stuff. So Jill, you just made that light bulb go off for me, that the same way I used to tell people I wouldn't use finance words. I am now realizing I don't use marketing words, but I do marketing stuff. So you're right.
Interesting. All right. Huh. What about content?
No, I still don't want to be a content creator. But
There's
you're
all-
right. I mean, I do like to do written posts. I don't like to do
Okay.
lives and that, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I guess I am having an identity crisis right now.
There you go. There you go. Um, and it's interesting too. So if you're doing content, you want to think about the fact that you can use content to drive traffic to um, your businesses. You know, and I'm going to be a good content guy and update our scrolling bar.
Oh,
Branding, marketing for resellers. So you can use that content. You can use your social media posts to drive traffic to your stores. You can do something like, and that's something, Clara talks about it, but that's something that they were really great on early on with the clothing vault in terms of using Instagram in particular to kind of show the stuff they were selling and drive traffic to, at the time, mostly eBay. And you can do that too, but we also know a lot of sellers that source their content is them outsourcing or them listing, and that's a different kind of model of their business.
yeah. I mean, I can see that. I was just talking to somebody about Shopify store. And I think it was in a Facebook group, and I said something about, yeah, if you have a means to drive traffic to that through, all these other, YouTube
Yeah,
or blog posts or Instagram, whatever, yeah, do it. I don't. So right now, a Shopify store isn't something I'm interested in. But in talking to the community, when I launch either the quilting and or the socks, then both of those make sense to have a Shopify store too.
exactly. And think about that. Something like a Shopify store is like hub, a hub to send. That's part of your brand too. Is it's like a lot of people have different types of hubs, which is basically like a central spot. Some people have a website where they've got everything listed. Some people have eBay as their hub. Some people have a LinkedIn as their hub, which is a list of all their links, and just another way to consider a brand and managing what you do.
There's really a lot to go into this branding and marketing stuff.
There is a lot. There's a lot. And did you know, Teresa Cox, since we're here, you can also leverage List Perfectly to help you market, grow, and keep your brand. This, I think, in a lot of ways goes back to having a solid business, being consistent, and keeping your brand strong. Growing your brand in particular.
Yeah, and I think that most List Perfectly, I mean, the first thing that popped into my mind when you said that was where we encourage people to use the same name, brand, whatever, across all platforms so that you can be easily found. And I think that, I don't think I've ever asked, but I think that most of us understand in the community that that's what we did. I think that on Poshmark, I don't think I used the 97 in my club red, which was probably a mistake. But it is what it is. I'm not going to change it. And so, but I think that for the most part, people do brand the same across all platforms.
Yeah. It's a good practice. That's what we're talking about. Kathy, yeah, Linktree's great. It's basically a free thing you sign up for that gives you a singular page that you can update with a bunch of links. If you don't want to have a website or pay for that, this is a free thing, and it gives you a link that you can share out, and a lot of people will put it in their Instagram bio.
Yep.
And then use in other spots. But it is a lot of people's hub because it's all their links. There is another. It's branding and marketing for resellers and quilting for resellers as well today, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Theresa gets her mom's quilt products sold. Will she continue to purchase fabric to sell?
no.
No. All right. Then if no, what will you do with your store when you sell out your fabric?
Close it.
Okay, there we go. All
Well,
right.
if it gets to be too, if I don't have a lot of stuff in there, now trust me, I have my fabric and stuff to sell too. So this could be a lifeline project, and that's okay because I need something to do when I'm retired. And selling fabric and patterns and magazines online would be fun.
So that is cool. So there's three, like they're coming in like fire. There's three things I want to address here. Kathy Cox wants to get her brand name everywhere, and she's paying for sites that she's not ready to sell on. So, Kathy, I would say, consider putting out content, social content, maybe doing some videos. You're great on camera. That could help you get your name out there. And I'm always an advocate. You can do it cheaply, and they're so easy to design now. I'm always an advocate of having a website as your hub because you can do a lot of different things there. I just recently I've been writing online since the late 90s, 98 or 99. I don't do math, so I don't know. That's 20 something years. I started writing the same day Theresa started selling on eBay. And
29 years.
29 years, but I've got like blogs here, blogs there, blogs here, blogs there. And I wanted to finally have a spot. I had a website way back and it went away, but I finally wanted to have a spot where I have everything. So I launched that as my hub. It's got a lot of blogs on there. But basically I can do what I want with this. I can link out to all my selling stuff. And again, just have something finally that's kind of my home. And then there's this guy, Scott Cha-Ching King, who says he doesn't know anything about branding. There's so much to learn. Great guy, knows a lot about branding, has a great logo, did one of the smartest branding things I've seen at what was the one on the East Coast in North Carolina we went to? FlipCon. So Scott Cha-Ching King had a bunch of t-shirts that he brought, stacks and stacks of t-shirts with his logo on them, and just left them out for people to pick up. So that's one of the best things, is like getting your logo out there. He's got a cool logo, getting your logo out there, getting some exposure. I call it the radio station thing. You hand out stickers. I talked about this recently, last week on the Snoop Dogg show. I talked about how when I moved to San Diego, I saw these stickers everywhere that were a 9, a 1, and an X. And I was like, what is this 9 and 1 and X? And it's like 91X. It's the local music station. Then I got into them, and it really extended my musical repertoire. My link tree is $9 a month. Can't remember the benefits of the paid version. I don't know the benefits of the paid version either. Sometimes they'll have something like you pay a little bit to not have a logo or not have some sort of watermark or something like that. But I don't remember whether there's a paid version of Linktree. More fabric questions, which is cool. I have a lot of fabric, magazines, patterns, etc. Not ready to sell yet, but I also have tons of creative memories to sell.
I am selling creative memory stuff. Get it up there. Doesn't sell as fast as it was, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, but it just still sells. As a matter of fact, I shipped a, 12 by 12 by 12, a 12 by 12 creative memory something a couple weeks ago. So get the creative memory stuff up, because those people are dying off that want to actually do that.
Okay. Yeah. And keep an eye on that audience. So this shows that Scott Cha-Ching King and I are simpatico. Even a blind squirrel occasionally finds a nut. I honestly don't feel like I know anything about branding. So Scott knows a lot about branding. And my kids ask me why I'm obsessed with squirrels. And I tell them that even a squirrel is right 2 times a day. There is a paid version of Linktree. Thank you, Catherine.
I don't get the squirrel is right 2 times a day.
That's the point of it.
Okay.
I think it's hilarious because people.
Even Marshall wouldn't have laughed at that.
Marshall would laugh at that.
No, he wouldn't.
He would so much.
Yeah, I think that you're probably right. Just like I started off here saying that I don't know anything about marketing, and I realized that actually I don't know anything about marketing, but I'm doing it without realizing I'm doing it. So.
Exactly. Now there's
The blind leading the blind. Here we
the
are, ladies and
blind leading the
gentlemen.
blind. So here's something too to think about too is think about marketing, and you want to think about, obviously you want traffic to go to your listings, you want traffic to go where you can monetize, you want traffic to go where you can sell. So you can think about things like um, content gives you SEO value. So it's going to drive traffic. You can drive traffic to your hub or to your listings, thinking about SEO, putting stuff out there, answering questions that customers or potential customers are asking. There's always paid advertising. So you can boost stuff. You can pay to advertise on social, things like that. You can do Google ads. I know sellers that do Google ads, um, affiliate marketing. There's all kinds of different things you can do. You can spread the word on the tools you use, including, of course, List Perfectly. List Perfectly has a fantastic referral marketing program, super easy. You'll find yourself with a little bit of sharing. You can pay for your List Perfectly each month. Um, but think about those options, and then think about too something like knowing your audience. Like, I don't do it, I'll do a little bit, but I think Pinterest really is an under Teresa's texting Marcus again.
I'm not texting anybody.
I'm just kidding. Pinterest is a very underrated tool. I think I like Pinterest because it's the thing where you pin your board, like a wedding board or a summer board or a Morrissey board or a Duran Duran board, and you pin your stuff on there. But the beauty about those things is Pinterest gets a lot of traffic. It's a largely female base on there. And the beauty of Pinterest, and I can't believe Instagram hasn't adjusted to this yet. So the thing with Instagram is you can't have a post on Instagram link out to somewhere. So basically individual links don't work in Instagram posts. So that's why you'll see people put links in their bios, or they'll be like, see the link in my bio. And I still think that's a huge miss for Instagram. I can't believe they're not doing it yet. I understand they don't want to send traffic away from the site, but Pinterest, you can click through those posts and go directly to a listing or directly to your hub or things like that. Oh, here's a question for Theresa Cox, ladies and gentlemen. Using
Oh,
my
this is
husband's iPhone.
this is a follow up for. She was on my listing 101 call this afternoon, and she was having an issue, and somebody suggested she use another device, which she did. So you can use your husband's phone to list right now, but the customer support team might be able to tell you, like, to clear your cache on your phone, which I didn't even know that existed, but ladies and gentlemen, it does. And especially if his phone is older than yours. So I'm glad to see that you have something that's working, but don't give up on support yet.
One girl might be related to your browser instead of the phone too. Yeah, and I mean,
True.
make sure the phone's updated, make sure the browser's updated. A lot of people don't clear their phone cache. You should.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I haven't done it in forever.
Yeah.
End of day. All right. Well,
So using List Perfectly for marketing, to go back to that, I think that probably anybody listening to this or whatever, this List Perfectly user is doing this, because before List Perfectly, I was not one of those people that would copy paste to any other platform, because I would rather spend my time getting my eBay listings up. And that's what I did. And then List Perfectly came along, and I started cross-posting out to Poshmark and Etsy, and eventually Macari. I have played with all of them except for Vestiaire, and they are just not platforms for me. I don't have stuff to sell on Depop. I don't have stuff to sell on Grailed. I mean, I do. I try to sell my Nikes and my Adidas, but they're just not cool enough. So I tested out Kitizen. I list stuff on Kitizen. I don't sell stuff on Kitizen. I don't understand Kitizen. But so it's This Perfectly has helped all of us broaden our marketing to across different platforms.
yeah, definitely. And it makes your whole process more efficient, freeing you up for other stuff like branding, creating content. You probably need a podcast, maybe a blog, and a website. Teresa convinced me though too. We were talking earlier about the Snoop Doggy show, and Teresa convinced me to do an updated Snoop Doggy show on podcasting because I have added some new tools to my repertoire as well, including some cool new stuff that YouTube is doing. So basically, you can set up your podcast on YouTube and it can automatically or update
Interesting.
automatically when you post a new episode. It's based on the RSS feed. And then I don't know if Teresa Cox knows this, but there's a tool I use called Descript, and it can do some crazy things now. They've added a whole new AI suite called Underlord because they don't like the word overlord. But one of the things it can do is if you are recording and you are looking at a script off to the side, there's this tool you can click and it makes your eyes
I've
make it
seen
look
those ads on Instagram. So that
like
if I'm over here reading, it'll show me that I'm actually doing this.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, if you're not moving your head around, but
Right.
and then obviously it's got some fantastic cleanup options for some AI options, and then you can, some voice cloning options, things like that. Scott Chaching King says one of the biggest advantages of using this
Yeah.
perfectly is having a legit backup. Yep. So they're not tied to a platform. Had to create half a dozen listings, photos, and all LP. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, definitely have that backup. We've all lost drafts on eBay. We've all lost photos on eBay. Real quick, Descript is an editing tool that I use. So basically, it's a text-based editing tool that also edits video and audio at the same time. And it's got a ton of cool features now. And it's great. It's very, very useful. We use it for the Seller Community Podcast. I use it for my music podcast, Albums That Saved Us. And so great tool. Highly recommend it. But this is something, Teresa, that I should do content on where I talk about the tool that I use and share their referral/affiliate link.
Exactly. This is how everybody's doing it.
Do any of them sell large furniture pieces?
I think she's talking about marketplaces, maybe.
That's an interesting one. So I can actually answer this question, Teresa Cox, believe it or not.
Okay, we'll let you answer it.
So a couple things. So I have a friend that is my friend Philip, the mythological Philip, who does exist. I don't know, Teresa, you met him in Vegas, right?
Probably. I don't know.
So he's a longtime antique seller. And obviously, as you know, antiques used to do much better on eBay than they do now, but he still sells big pieces. So the answer to that question is people, especially if it's an antique, that type of buyer is going to be willing to spend the money that it's going to take to ship that properly. So, I mean, and you can go like UPS store they'll ship a boat for you and they'll pack it up for you. It's going to cost you some money, but the right buyer will pay what it takes to get that stuff shipped properly. And then you've also got a great option for furniture is Facebook Marketplace for local stuff. eBay local. A lot of people don't realize that you can still sell stuff locally on eBay. And then Mercari has a program where if it can fit in a typical trunk of a car, they will deliver it for you via Uber drivers locally.
I think that's a $15 fee.
Okay.
Which I think is great if you don't want to be the one having to schlep around town. I have several listings on Mercari, this local pickup. I have never sold anything on Mercari local pickup.
Okay.
I did sell something just a couple weeks ago on eBay, a glass. Normally I wouldn't schedule to meet somebody, but this was a set of 11 glasses and I did not want to have to package it and ship it and hope they all arrived safely. So I did that.
Okay.
But my favorite one is when I was living up in Williams, I had moved out of my house and I had a playroom that I had decorated like a classroom. So I had a 1952 teacher's desk.
Oh, wow.
And I had it refinished before I put it in there. And so I was going to sell it. And a woman drove from Farmington, Utah to Williams to pick it up because she had just retired. And this was the desk that she had used for umpteen years.
Wow. Was she dressed like a school marm?
No, she would look like a person that had just retired. She was an
Okay.
older woman, but her and her husband decided to make it a trip. They stopped in places on the way here, and
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I sold my teacher's desk local pickup through eBay.
Very interesting. Very cool. Very interesting. You know, helping people find what they want. Susie Eads has written a paragraph for us. Social media is not my jam, but I've been consistently posting for 12 weeks. I'm not dreading it as much, but I don't do it joyfully. I'm relieved when I have it done for the night. All right, Susie. Susie should do lives. Susie's very funny and fun and fantastic. Okay, this is interesting from Scott Chichinking. And I know Scott's story is he lives in a small area. It's a challenge for him to source. It's not a huge town. So this is interesting from him. I shipped a Frank Lloyd Wright cube chair I made out of mesquite once through FedEx. That was a long time ago. I took it to pack and ship. Interesting. Well, there you go. And then, as Kathy says, some people retire and they are not older. Case in point, me.
Well, she looked like an older retired school teacher. So what you would stereotypically think of an older retired school teacher, that's what she reminded me of.
Interesting. All right.
Okay.
So
You want to do a recap conclusion?
let me see. So I'll go through the quick recap of if I remember what we talked about. We talked about the importance of branding, elements of a strong brand, trust and credibility, marketing strategies. One of my favorite topics, content marketing, which segued into social media marketing. We talked about leveraging lists perfectly for your marketing needs. And we talked about some, as you would say, advanced marketing techniques, paid advertising, affiliate marketing. We took some questions, we shook some hands, we kissed some babies. What else? What else is there?
I think that's a good recap. You did good.
Thank you so much.
You should think about doing this for a living.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching and thanks everybody for listening. So the big plug we have is very exciting coming up on Friday on the List Perfectly YouTube live. We have our friend who is very cool and a delight. Tamsin's Threads is going to talk about pop-up markets and how they can tie into your business and how they can help send traffic to your online listings and how it all ties together. And she's been using Listing Assistant too, so I think that's going to come up as well. So
I didn't send her that email message that I told you yesterday I was going to send. Oops. I will do it as soon as we get off the call.
Here we go. Look at this. All these kudos as they come rolling in.
For sure.
Very nice. Very cool. So this was a fun session. Thanks so much, Theresa Cox. Sorry if I talked too much. I had a bunch of coffee before the last thing, so I'm pretty wound up.
You're good. It's all good. And what I learned for myself is I actually do some branding and marketing without even knowing that I'm doing it.
Well, and thanks everybody. I'm glad that I talked out the Snoop Doggy thing because that's the thing is I know if I went away from it, it would still, I think it's always going to be there to, not to haunt me, but.
You don't mind it, do you?
No, I don't mind it.
Okay. Yeah. Then don't worry about it.
Do you know the Costco story, Theresa Cox?
No, I don't know the Costco story.
Real quick before we go. So if you, ladies and gentlemen, you don't know the Costco story, my wife and I were in Costco. This was a couple of years ago, and we were in the wine section, shockingly. And then there's a lady who says, "Excuse me, are you Snoop Doggy from eBay?" Of course, those of you that know me can picture how I would react. And my wife says, "Oh my God," and just walks away. And I said, "Well, yes, I am." And she said, "Oh, I saw you speak in San Diego at a seller event. Nice to see you," et cetera, et cetera. So,
well, there you have it.
So I guess I must remain
the Costco famous Snoop Doggy.
Famous I can't let my fans down. You know this, Theresa Cox.
I know your fans will not hear of it.
They will not hear of it. But all right, thanks everybody. Hopefully we will see you again. We are all over the. When's your next listing party, Teresa Cox?
Well, there's Mastermind tomorrow morning. Mastermind every weekday at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, and then listing party. If you're looking for somebody to have some company with, Creative Conversations is coming up in about an hour. Mastermind tomorrow, and then again on Friday, and then we have the live true crime on Friday. Yeah, go to listingparty.com, check out the events. It's a great community to be a part of.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out, listingparty.com/events. And Melissa, she did not ask for an autograph, or disappointingly did not ask for a photo.
Oh, she probably didn't. She probably feels like you probably get asked a lot, and since you're with your wife.
I was like, listen, I'm just trying to shop here for wine, please. So, all right, cool. Thanks, Theresa. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to the usual suspects. Thanks to a couple of the new names we saw. Thanks, Scott Ching King, for stopping in. Nice to see you every once in a while. And Susie Eads has my autograph. She asked for it years ago. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right. See you in the next party.